This video is all about fitness and strength training and the key part that it can play in self-improvement. I recently realised that it is the foundation for all of the other improvements I've made in my health and my life in the last couple of decades. So in this video, I'm going to provide as many reasons as I can so that you can consider whether to make fitness and strength training the foundation of your own self-improvements in your life. What I realised recently was that all the things I do for fitness and strength training, like going to the gym, working out in my garage with my weights, or going up to the local recreation ground and running around like an idiot, all those things, they're like a helping hand that was helping me with all the other self-improvement things that I've been trying to achieve in my life. So for example, I managed to give up 30 years of smoking and drinking. I'd been a fussy eater all of my life, and I recently was able to start eating a really healthy, nutritious diet. And all of those things became possible because of this helping hand. And the way that this worked was that with my training, I'd been able to develop a sort of kind form of discipline and structure to my training. And I was able to take that from the training and apply it to other areas in my life where I hadn't been able to have those things before. The way that I structure my self-improvement now is that I research a topic, I gather as much information as I can, I think deeply about it, and I try and create compelling arguments that I can write down so that I can use those arguments to convince myself to do the right thing, to make changes, to build positive habits. So that's exactly what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to try and present as many compelling arguments as I can for you to go out and do more fitness and strength training, or to start if you haven't started already, and then to try and use that to give you this helping hand with all of your other self-improvement goals. A keystone habit is a behaviour that triggers improvement in other areas of life. Charles Duhigg wrote about this in his book, The Power of Habit. Research shows that when you start exercising regularly, it typically becomes easier to eat better, to sleep better, to cut down and quit smoking, to cut down and quit drinking, and to be more productive. Even if those things weren't the original goal, if you just did exercise for the sake of it, it becomes easier to do those things. And this is exactly what happened to me. It wasn't easy, it took a lot of time, but it was definitely worth it. The ideal situation is that over time you find a fitness routine that is kind of habitual. And what I mean by that is that some people, when they're starting out, they really don't enjoy exercise. They really have to push themselves to do it. So my advice would be to try and try so many different sports, try as many different types of exercise as you can, to try and identify the ones that you really have a passion for, the ones that you really love, the kind that instead of having to push yourself to do it, the problem is that you have to find enough time to be able to do as much of it as you really want to. You have to stop yourself from overtraining, and that's the ideal situation. And it might take time, but again, it's worth putting the time into that to try and find the kind of things that you really love doing. And it's easy to start. You don't have to do anything spectacular. You can just start walking. Walking is fantastic. So that's the stage I've got myself to now, where training and exercise is just habitual. It's something I absolutely love. The biggest struggle for me is to go for 3 or 4 days without doing anything, because I start to feel terrible and I need to get out there. And I love nothing more than being out in the sunshine, running around in the park, being at the gym, being in the swimming pool. It's still a struggle in some ways because I push myself hard. So the struggle is trying to beat last week's record, trying to do extra reps, all that stuff. But there is no struggle in doing this because it's just part of how I live now. So if you're already at the stage where you've got routines or you've got sports that you absolutely love and that you do regularly, then you're doing really well. But if you haven't, that's okay. You just need to start. Even if you don't do anything at all right now, you can dramatically change your life and your health just by doing 30 minutes a couple of times a week. Even if you just start with walking, it's really important to get out there and try it. Doing exercise does require an investment. You have to invest time, you have to invest your energy, then there's the recovery time sometimes afterwards if you push it really hard. And yeah, it takes an investment, but you get something back for that investment. And one of the things you get back is that Once you've invested in it, that helps you to make better decisions elsewhere. So for example, if I go to the gym and I invest an hour in running on a treadmill and doing other cardio stuff, and I burn a bunch of calories, then when I make a decision later about what food to eat, it's much easier to say no to the cake and to have something healthy instead. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. What typically happens is you have this internal dialogue going on where you look at the cake and then you think about it and you say to yourself, why waste all of that effort? Because it is quite hard to burn calories off. And so it's really helpful when you're making decisions about the food that you eat, when you think it took me half an hour to burn X amount of calories, but if I eat this treat, it's going to put those calories straight back in. So once you've made that investment, it makes it easier to make better decisions later on. What happens internally is that in your head, it creates like a kind of discomfort, a kind of cognitive dissonance where you think, what is the point of doing all that effort to just throw it away on something that's not really worth it? How much pleasure do you really get from eating something unhealthy? So the way this works is that the harder you work for something, the less willing you are to throw it away. And this was a lesson that helped me a lot. It's like no pain, no gain. I needed to learn that to get good things in life, you have to suffer a bit first, you have to put the effort in, and then you get the reward later. Exercise can change how you see yourself. Instead of seeing yourself as someone who's just trying to get healthier, you start to see yourself as somebody who trains. Once that identity forms, then other decisions start to align with it. You find yourself thinking internally, is this what someone who trains would do? Is this a decision that that kind of person would make? And you start becoming that new person. You have a new identity. In the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, these are called identity-based habits. And the way this works is that your decisions start matching the person that you believe that you are. And although this takes time, it's one of the lowest effort ways to change your identity to a more positive version. You just find something that you love doing and just keep doing it. And then the changes will happen in the background. Exercise teaches you self-regulation because in every exercise you are practicing self-control. During exercise, we repeatedly tolerate discomfort, we push for resistance, and we delay gratification. And these are key mental skills that can be used for cutting down and quitting smoking and drinking, and for achieving our long-term goals, and for saying no to junk food. Exercise is not just physical training, it's also exercising the mental muscle of persistence. When you exercise regularly, you practice doing difficult things on purpose. And this is one of the benefits of exercise that's completely transferable. As you become somebody who regularly gets used to just ploughing on when the going gets tough, this becomes a skill that you can apply to any other problem in your life. For example, any work problems, family problems, relationship problems, you're developing a skill that you're going to be able to use elsewhere. And this rewires you in a way where you fully understand where there's no pain, there's no gain. So whatever challenge you're taking on, if there is no pain, then that's a bonus. But when there is some, when there's some suffering beforehand, then you're fully prepared for it because you've practiced this thing over and over in your leisure time. And this is something I've witnessed in my own life where when I'm facing a challenge, sometimes I'm a little bit surprised how I'm not getting quite so phased as I used to beforehand. It's not perfect, but it's definitely improved. Physical exercise can rewire our reward system in our brains, just as bad habits can hijack the reward system, such as nicotine, alcohol, ultra-processed foods, constant digital stimulation. Exercise produces a healthier reward system through chemicals like dopamine and endorphins and serotonin. Over time, the brain starts associating effort with reward. Exercise teaches our bodies to feel good from effort rather than instant gratification. And over time, this develops into like an all-over feeling, particularly if you go to the gym and you do all-over body training, which is the kind I do at my age now. I don't tend to sort of just hit one area. I just train my whole body, go for a long swim, And then afterwards, the whole body is just buzzing. Mentally, you feel great. It's not like just a chemical in your brain, it's just your whole body feels good. You can feel the muscles growing, you feel stronger, you feel more ready for action. Exercise reconnects you with your body. Modern sedentary lifestyle disconnects us from body signals. But by doing exercise, we're forced literally to start to listen to our bodies more. The body will tell us that it's hungry, but it will also tell us that it's got nutritional needs, which is different from hunger. So, for example, you will find that you're craving certain kinds of foods which are much more healthy because the body really needs the nutrients that's in them. Your body will send you signals about tiredness and fatigue and recovery. And if you actively try and become more receptive to those signals, if you try and listen to your body more, then that's going to help you in the long run. It's going to be a really important connection that you're rebuilding, where the modern world has caused it to get damaged, and you're rebuilding that, and that will help you along the way. For someone of my age, for example, it's really important to be able to listen to my body, because quite often when I'm training, I want to push myself as hard as I can, but I also definitely don't want to injure myself. I don't want to overtrain, because the consequences aren't very good. I mean, for example, I've made myself get ill sometimes training in the cold. I should have wrapped up better, and when I didn't, I then spent a week being ill. And it sort of cost me about 3 weeks worth of training, you know, to be ill for a week. It takes me nearly a month to get back to where I was before. So it's a mistake I don't want to make. And one of the key ways to avoid that mistake is to train myself to listen to my body much better. When you train regularly and practice listening to your body, then you get better at it. It's a skill. And then once you get better at it, you start noticing things, like you'll start noticing that the foods that you eat that make you feel good. And then you'll notice the foods that you eat that make you feel sluggish. And then you'll start to know when your body genuinely needs rest. Learning this skill over the long term can lead you to eating less junk food and making much better food decisions, because your body knows what it needs and it will tell you. And the more you can hear that, it's going to make it easier for you to make those decisions, because it's hard when you're trying to give up unhealthy stuff that you might be addicted to, that you might really enjoy eating. It's not easy. So any kind of helping hand you can get is appreciated. So when you get your body on your side, then that's about the best help you can get. So the ideal situation is that over a long period of time, this literally changes the way that you think about food, so that when you're making decisions, you're buying food and you're choosing what food to have, you're thinking of it as fuel for your body, a bit like the fuel that you put in your car. You want high performance, and it becomes less about eating for pleasure and eating for emotional reasons. And this is a really good thing to develop. Exercise reduces the need for willpower. People often think with self-improvement that it all comes down to increasing the amount of willpower that you've got. But by regularly exercising, you actually reduce the amount of battles you have to fight, and whatever battles you're having may become easier because of this. Exercise can improve mood, stress regulation, impulse control, and sleep. So when you improve those things via exercise, it's likely that your temptations are going to become weaker elsewhere. So this is one of the key benefits of doing regular exercise, is that you don't need as much willpower to achieve your goals. Don't discount lower levels of exercise. Even small routines, any small amount of extra exercise that you do can help with all the things that we've talked about. Just burning a few extra calories here and there might help you sleep better. It's going to have a positive effect, and it's the right mindset to develop. Just keep pushing yourself and keep doing more. You don't have to become a gym fanatic. You just have to regularly try and have a little bit of extra movement in your life. Just burn a few more calories for these effects to happen. To conclude, exercise is not just about fitness. It can have a ripple effect across many areas of your life. The biggest benefit of exercise isn't the calories you burn, it's the better decisions that you make afterwards because of the exercise. Exercise is the habit that quietly helps every other improvement in your life. And I know this for a fact. This is exactly what happened to me. I'll be honest with you, it took many years. You know, I trained for a long time, and when I tried to quit smoking, when I tried to quit drinking, it took many years to do that. But I do know that what helped me to get to that point where I could finally do those things was from years and years of exercise. It gave me a great big helping hand, which I really needed. I hope something in this video gives you a helping hand. I hope you've learned something and gained something. If you have, please like or subscribe. Thanks very much for watching.